This race for the Democratic nomination may be over, but the fight for the soul of the Democratic Party is just beginning. Because before we can take our country back, we have to take our party back. We have to take it back from corporate Democrats who are more interested in raising money from the rich than fighting for the poor.
Yeah, Cynthia didn't win, right? But Andrew Cuomo had significant ambitions in 2020 to run for president. I think she killed those ambitions, frankly, because she brought up the fact that he's had multiple associates convicted of corruption. One of his closest associates, he said he'd stop fracking, but is still allowing pipelines to be built through New York State. He isn't pushing for single payer, legalizing marijuana, all of these things, and he's a bully. And she's really brought those issues to the national stage, even if she didn't win, even if Andrew Cuomo is so entrenched in the establishment, and even if a lot of Democrats were scared off by the fact that she doesn't have a lot of experience. There was still a victory to be had here. And I understand that it wasn't the actual victory in the election, but when you're at a fundraising disadvantage, remember this, progressives, you're not going to win every battle, because the ideas are what, yes, are resonating with people, but money still matters. And someone like Andrew Cuomo has a lot of money.
Well, I think what she did was extraordinary in that she put out a progressive agenda in a way that a lot of people are starting to hear about it. And she's a part of a movement that I think is going to hopefully move the country in a better direction.
Issues that the governor wouldn't normally speak about, Cynthia really brought it home and make people aware of them on a national level, right? And she brought a progressive message actually out.
In January, I announced my run for lieutenant governor. I was told I was crazy. I had no shot. 2 weeks ago, they had me down by 22 points. We almost took it tonight. 610,000 people voted for me. The people in this room voted for me. From Brooklyn to Buffalo. This is not the end. This is the beginning.
Cynthia Nixon lost as expected. Jumaane Williams lost narrowly. Zephyr Teachout was the biggest surprise to me, and she lost. And it's really because Maloney, he split the upstate vote, and that's what ended up happening, which is what allowed Tish James to be victorious. Maloney is a congressman. He clearly does not want to represent his district, or for some reason he blew all of his money on this attorney general's race. And now you know what's going to happen? His district's probably going to go red again, because he decided to run for attorney general and blow all his money here, and ended up splitting the vote, so Zephyr Teachout didn't get it. Everyone has the right to run for what they want to run for, but he was running simultaneously for his House seat and for attorney general. Seems a little suspect to me, and it's frustrating because no one deserved this more than Zephyr Teachout, in my view, one of the most brilliant progressives in the country.
I'm really proud that we ran without any corporate money. And we showed you can run without corporate PAC money and without LLC money, just like Cynthia showed, just like Jumaane showed.
Andrew Cuomo gets to go back to Albany most likely for 4 more years, but the state of play he's going to find himself in, the politics that are going to surround him are going to be totally different. There are 7 new members who were elected to the state Senate running on a bold and muscular progressive agenda, health care for all, tenants protections, protecting immigrants, all kinds of stuff that the IDC had been blocking. 7 new senators want to do. Meanwhile, by January, Cuomo's going to have to face his worst nightmare, which is the Democratic legislature.
So for those of you that don't know, the IDC was an independent group of Democrats called the Independent Democratic Conference. They caucus with the Republicans in order to just have more power and more prestige. Andrew Cuomo allowed for them to be created because he wanted change to happen on his terms, which means very incrementally. So Republicans had way more power than they should have in the state government, because Andrew Cuomo just allowed for them to caucus with the Republicans, even though this is a heavily blue state. Now, Andrew Cuomo did get reelected, and he did disband the IDC after pressure from Cynthia Nixon. So that's the tangible results of her campaign. But also, the members of the IDC were just voted out on the state level to very, very progressive candidates.
In total, out of the 8 members of the IDC, we defeated 6 of them tonight, and additionally won one more insurgent progressive primary against Martin DeLon, not a member of the IDC, but another huge recipient of corporate and real estate money. What happened tonight in New York was a drastic sea change in where the center of gravity in Albany is going to be. A whole group of senators who had been empowering a big money agenda, a corporate agenda at the expense of working families, were defeated in an unprecedented sweep.
I don't know if you caught this Freudian slip during the debate where he said we need a Republican state Senate. Big time Freudian slip. He meant Democratic, and the reason it's not is because he likes having the IDC, because I actually talked about this with Julia Salazar. She explained it really well. Maybe it's a no-brainer, but it's basically so that he can control the pace of change, and he can slow change, and then he can take credit for change that's not even that big of a deal. Like we saw that with his free college tuition, which affects like 2% of students or something.
When we look back in time, we realize that the big donors dominated politics, but more and more the small money is coming on stream. I think the next 4 years or so, it will be more dominant, because people are very leery about the politicians who are actually bought by these big money people.